Bobby Sean Connery's at the counter at the cinema. What does he order?
I'll have a large Coke, medium popcorn, and a maxi bon.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Bearded Geeks, the weekly grab bag of topics covering movies, comics, video games, and TV. My name is Jags, Beardmaster Model 101. With me today, Patrick Cyber Brown Systems and Bobby B1000 Baxter. Bobby Brown. How you going, Bobby?
Yeah, I'm alright. My rum went up my nose when I...
Oh, well, that was good. Fuck that. Anyway, How you going, Pat?
Yeah, I'm good.
Pat's back, everyone.
Hey, I'm back.
Without his hat, though. He's off the hat. What's going on, Pat?
Screw that.
No hat. No hat, Pat.
No hat today. It's
Pat.
night time. It's night time.
That's never stopped you before.
Makes sense now.
How was everyone? How were we all? Pretty good?
Yeah.
Yep, traveling along as usual. How about you?
Yep, pretty good. Pretty good. Just saw Terminator 2 in 3D. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Get to that later. Everyone's feeling pretty good, I think.
Yeah. You can't not feel good after watching that movie.
I'm emotional. That ending.
Thumbs up, buddy.
Every time somebody gives me a thumbs up, I just burst into tears. Mason walks past and he's like... The tears just flow. 2-year-old gives me a thumbs up. Anyway. Hey, Ben. What's everyone doing? Bullshit time. This is the bullshit beginning. How you going? How's Mass Effect? What are you hooked on, Pat? I don't know. What am I doing? I don't know.
I've been doing some Game of Thrones, like just getting back into the early seasons.
Oh, yeah.
So I just finished season 1. And yeah, I'm really into that at the moment.
All the boobs and dongs.
I got to that stage again where, you know, you get really hooked and then you kind of can't sleep. you
do that.
Yeah.
You can't sleep.
I was like thinking about it one night. I was like, just stop it and go to sleep.
One more episode. What about you, Bob? What are you doing? What's going on?
Yep. Not much. Haven't been playing much Mass Effect. We had some family come for the weekend and stay, so we've been running around and doing stuff and stuff.
You went to the zoo the other day.
I did. I went to the Tasmania Zoo.
How was the Tasmania Zoo?
There was one really good thing that happened at the Tasmania Zoo that blew my mind. It was it happened.
Meerkat stole your beanie.
It happened right at the start of the day. We rocked up, bought our tickets, and they were like, "Oh, we're about to feed the Tassie Devils. Head down, and we'll to the other end of the park, and they're down there, and they'll bring the food soon." We're like, "Yeah, sweet." So rushed down the other end. And standing around waiting, and the park ranger guy comes over with a bucket, and he's like trying to call out the Tassie Devils, and they're not moving. They're just like asleep in the sun on their gut, just like whatever. And then he finally finds one that's awake, and so we're there. Like I've got my sister, not my sister, my wife and her sisters, and their 2 little kids there, and a bunch of other tourists and stuff, and the guy reluctantly, the park ranger, holds up the bucket and he goes, "Would you like to see what the Tassie Devils eat?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, sweet," thinking there's like a steak in the bucket, and he pulls it out from with his hand, and it's this fucking wallaby head, severed wallaby head with a tongue hanging out, and like one eye open, and the other eye closed. It just looked like a fucking cartoon of a dead animal.
What a nightmare.
And all the kids and all the ladies are like, "Ah! Oh my god, what the fuck?"
That is awesome.
And he's like, and he has no gloves on, this guy. He's just like fucking holding this wallaby covered in blood from like down all his wrist and stuff. And he just like lops the head into the thing, and the Tassie Devils just go and just start ripping it to shreds in front of everybody. And we're like, what the fuck?
It's like that scene in Jurassic Park where they feed the raptors.
Yeah. And you're watching this fucking wallaby head just roll across the ground. Then 3 Tassie Devils come out and just start fucking munging on it. And they're just like, the bones are snapping and they go... And the guy's just sitting there casually in the background going, "Yeah, well, so they don't waste anything. They'll eat everything. The fur, the bones, the meat, the eyeballs, the brains, everything." all these people just looking like in fucking horror through the gate. It was amazing.
That's crazy.
I don't have any stories that cool this week.
See the lions there at all?
Yeah, lions.
Were they up and about or sleeping?
They were very sexually confused lions. They were all like trying to have sex with each other's heads for some reason. And one was just like getting the shits. I think there was like 3 females and they were all in heat, and then there was one male in there like with the big mane. And I think the females are all like, come on, we're in heat, let's get randy. And the big male's like, I'm tapped out for the day, ladies. Like, there's one of me, just chill out. And so they'd just like keep jumping on this male's head and trying to like,
let me smash.
Yeah, just let me smash. Yeah. So they're just trying to go to town on this, and every now and then the male lion would just crack the shits and just like chase them around, and that was awesome to see, like a whole fucking pride of lions running around. But then he'd finally like give up, and he'd be like, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna go lie over here and maybe get some sleep." And then next thing you know, back on the head again. Rob, let me smash.
You want some fuck? No, Ron.
Oh no!
Hey girl, you want some tail? Flick.
But it's sick. Like Tassie Zoo is actually really good. I wasn't expecting it to be as good as it was. Like there's some seriously cool animals there.
There's some stuff there. It's cool. And you got the gators and the
gators,
snakes and stuff. That was pretty cool. Reptile section
and the tiny little monkeys.
So they're my favourite.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to watch out because they will bite your fingers. Like, and they're really sneaky, and they're so quick and stealthy. Nuts.
There was a really awesome, like a tiny, was it marmoset? I think they are the little tiny puny monkeys, and this one had like 2 newborn, like tiny, even smaller monkeys attached to its back. So I went up to the cage, like looking at it, and I was like, "Wow, look." Tiny monkey," and then it rolled over and there was like 2 little even smaller faces on the back.
Awesome.
Like, fuck yeah.
Good day then.
Yeah.
You're a little bit far away from your mic, Pat. If you can move it a bit closer.
Get in there.
That'd be great. Deeper.
There we
Deep
go.
like.
Yeah, that's it. So deep. Don't play with it. Don't play with it.
How's that?
Oh, that's good. I can hear you clear as bells.
Nice.
I don't have any cool stories like that, but I watched The Defenders, all 8 episodes over 3 days.
Ooh.
I could have watched it all in one sitting, honestly.
Yeah.
Good?
Yeah, it was good. It was good.
It's a reserved good.
Just good.
No, it was good. It was good. It was a good show. I'm seeing a lot of different opinions out there. A lot of people love it. A lot of people, think it's pretty good, like myself. And a lot of other people, think it's a bit naff. It's a bit rubbish or whatever. But no, it's good. It's definitely more good than bad in that show. It's cool seeing like the 4 of them team up and stuff. The first 2 episodes are sort of just a bit of a recap, what's, from all their separate individual shows, where everyone's at, Luke Cage is in prison, spoiler alert, Bob, and, all this other stuff and what's happening now, and it's sort of, the first 2 episodes sort of setting it up, and then by the time you get to episode 3, the wheels are starting to move, and then, by the end of that, you're like, right, we're off to the races.
Yep.
Yeah, Sigourney Weaver's in it. She's a pretty cool villain, kind of. Yeah, just lots of talking and shit, saying how tough and that she is, but she doesn't really do too much.
Starting to see her in a lot lately, like in the last few years too.
Sigourney's still about. She's still doing a bit.
Yeah, she did go quiet there for a while, but
Yeah, well.
I think ever since pretty much Avatar, feels like she's been in a lot of stuff the last 10 years.
Yeah, she was in Paul and...
Yeah,
she was the big bad in Paul. And
that's right.
Even like Oat Studio stuff, like she's in that.
Yeah, in Raka. She was in Raka,
Raka.
the first short film from Oat Studios.
I overheard a dude in the supermarket the other day. I was like through the self-serve checkout thing, and the guy next to me and his old wife, they're like, probably mid-60s or something, and she's like loading up the bags and stuff, and he's just standing around looking at his phone, and he's like, "Oh, I know what I'm doing this weekend. Marvel's got a new show out. Look, Daredevil and blah, 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 blah." Like, it's real awful the thing. And his wife's just like, gives him the side eye. like, couldn't give a fucking shit. Like, do you mind, like, helping me load some of these bags or something? He's like, oh, and it's gonna be 8 episodes? That'll be bloody good. And so he's talking about this show all the way through, and she loads up, pays for everything. They're walking out the shop and down the escalators, and I can still hear him going, and Daredevil, and
Oh, that's good.
how good is that? Like, you're living in a world now where a guy in his mid-60s is
He's a
talking
big Marvel
about
fan.
Marvel stuff.
That's crazy.
Nuts.
Yeah. It's a good show, though. Yeah, Daredevil's really great. Iron Fist is still a bit wanky, but it's not as wanky as he was. Yeah, Luke Cage is cool. Jessica Jones is cool. She's just like, this is all weird bullshit, fucking ninjas and people being resurrected and that. She's like, I just want to be left alone. She's like, I didn't want any of this. This is bullshit. I want to go home to your own drink. Yeah, it's cool. Her character in that. There's some cool scenes. They're going to some big battle or something like that. She's like, oh, nobody has a flask with them, do they? So she steals like a beer. There's like a passed out guy on the subway train, and he's got like a can in his hand, and there's like 4 left in the bag, and she sort of sneaks over and sneaks one, smashes it, and then she's got like
Let me smash.
She's got Matt Murdock sitting one side and Luke Cage the other, and she just like fucking necks this beer, and she's done. She's like, and like Matt and Luke are watching her, and she sort of looks at him. She's like, "What? It's been a long week." That's good though. I don't know what I'd give it. I'll probably give it a 3 out of 5. That's a fucking solid 3. That's an up there 3. Not quite a 4, but that's an up there 3. That's like a 3.8.
Oh yeah,
Definitely worth a watch though. 8 episodes, perfect length.
Yep.
Yeah, it's good though.
Didn't drag on. That's good.
Nah, it didn't really drag on. It's quite good. Yeah. Daredevil had some really cool moments where he's interrogating this guy. He's got his bowler and he's like whipped it around this dude's neck, and he's standing on the other side of the room and he's just gradually like turning it. It's like click, 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 click. And he's like, we're not leaving this room till you tell me anything. And Iron Fist is standing there. It's like, that is so cool. And Luke Cage is like, yeah, it's kind of cool, I suppose. But yeah, it was good. Luke Cage and that has some sort of dicky moments. They're fighting all ninjas and stuff, and Luke Cage is just like this lumbering giant who's just doing like big swing and misses and that. And it sort of takes away sort of from his, ability or whatever.
Yeah.
Fighting all these like super fast ninjas whipping about and stuff. And Jessica Jones, sort of her powers and stuff, I don't think are really sort of displayed as well in the fight scenes and stuff. Like, she's punching dudes and that, but not much is happening. There might be the odd scene where she throws someone across the room, but it's sort of out of the fight scenes that you see her powers. Like, they run through a door and there's this big skip in, and she flips it up and just like pushes it up against this door. And another scene where the elevator cable breaks and the elevator's falling, and she jumps up and she's holding like both wires, like stop the elevator from falling, which is cool.
Can she fly?
She can. She used to be able to.
Yes,
She used to be able to fly a bit, but I think it's more just sort of...
They sort of let on in the first season that it was kind of almost like a big jump kind of thing, wasn't it?
Well, she could fly, but yeah, she mentioned that in her series, but she lost that ability. I think it's due to her sort of mental state and her drinking and whatever.
She reminds me a lot of Hancock, Will Smith.
I fucking hate that movie.
I loved it when it first came out.
Pat bought the DVD from Easy DVD, and it came with like the beanie.
Yeah.
Hancock's beanie. And he brought it out and showed it to me one day. He wore it quite a few times, I think, as I recall. Hancock, you gotta watch Hancock. Yeah, alright, I'll watch it. And I was like, this is...
I loved the idea
naff.
of how he was just like a drunk and he didn't want to be a superhero at all, but he had these powers. So he was like this bum. Yeah, that was cool. I don't know. I like that concept.
I didn't like the whole Greek mythology thing, and
no, I hated all that. Yeah,
Charlize Theron.
Yeah, and when she came into it, the end was rubbish. The first part was like actually really funny.
Where he's just flying around, he's like boozing and stuff, flying through signs and shit.
Yeah, just like the dialogue and that as well. Like, he was really funny. He's like in the bar trying to have a drink, have some peace and quiet, and this old woman's across looking at him, and he just sees her like daggering him. He just keeps looking at her, and he's like, "I will break my foot off in your ass, bitch."
It's funny how that sort of trope has now become pretty sort of common for superhero stuff. But I remember like when that came out as well, like it felt like a superhero movie that hadn't been done before because he was so like there's plenty of anti-heroes in the past, but there's never really been that kind of drunk bum kind of thing. But now you see it a lot more.
Well, we might move on to our Game of Thrones recap for the week.
Yep.
Yeah.
Big bloody recap this week.
Yeah, good.
Season 7, episode, what is it, 6?
6, yep.
Beyond the Wall.
Really good.
I love whenever it goes beyond the wall.
Yeah.
We've never seen a lot.
You love going beyond those walls, don't you?
I do.
Hey.
Pushing the boundary.
It was really good to see.
They took a lot of red shirts with them. Red shirts is the Star Trek term for when they had an away mission, and you just had the red shirt cast members who meant nothing.
Yeah.
Always the first ones to die.
all the way through the episode, Hales is like, "Was that? No.
Yeah.
Was that?
Oh no!" I was like almost going to pause it and see who that was.
Oh shit! Who died then? Oh no, it's okay.
So there was a lot of great moments in the show. I've sort of just dotted it out, the episode. I watched it again, and I sort of just dotted it out, sort of just the highlighted bits. So I might just run through them.
Yeah.
At the beginning, Gendry, and he's whinging, and the Hound. He's like, I'm not whinging. He's like, your mouth's moving, and whatever. He's like, that's whinging. And
You're complaining, and your lips are moving. That is whinging.
It's like, this guy over here, he's died 6 times. You know, you're fucking complaining about it.
I fucking love the Hound.
I love him. He had the best line at the end. And he's just like, they're like, oh, we might meet again someday. And he's like, I fucking hope not.
My favourite scene in the entire episode was Tormund and the Hound, where they had their little interaction.
Yeah.
He's just like, fuck, how did it go? He was talking to him, he's like, so you're the one they call the dog. It's like, are you always been mean, or you were born mean, or whatever? And then he talks about the fire or whatever. He's like, I don't hate fire. He's like, I hate gingers. He's like, but gingers are beautiful. We are kissed by fire. And then he goes on to talk about Lee's dick or whatever. He's like, dick? He's like, cock. He's like, dick. I like this. I bet you do. And just, that comedy's really ramped up. And then when he talked about Brienne, he's like, I have this beauty waiting for me back at Winterfell.
Yeah.
It's like almost as tall as you, and
Brienne of fucking Tarth.
You're with her. It's like, well, not with her, but I see the way she looks at me.
Especially the fact that she pretty much nearly killed the Hound. That's crazy.
He's like, does she look like she wants to chop your liver out and feed it to you or whatever? He's like, you do know her. He's like, I want to make babies with her. Be giants. Rule the country or whatever. That was just such a great scene. That was probably one of my favourite scenes from the entire show ever.
Yep.
That was a really good scene. The whole Arya and Sansa stuff just...
That's a drag, man.
I couldn't really care. I find Arya really interesting, but Sansa is just... Every time she's on, I'm just like, you're just this brat. Just like, get off.
I actually found that.
But Arya's actually like kind of annoying in the way that she's handling this shit too. I'm like, this is just fucking drama for the sake of drama. Like, I don't know.
I actually think there's more to it. I think it's played out like that for us, like for the audience, and it's not actually the case. Like how it's just kind of like Littlefinger's plans falling into place, but I don't think it is. I think she's going along with it. I actually think because Arya's way too stealthy. There's a lot more to her. She's got this training that Littlefinger has no idea about, like especially with the faces. And I just think the fact that I think she's way too sneaky for that. I think she's got a lot more to it.
I was hoping for that too, but I don't know. With that last exchange when it was just Sansa and Arya in that room together. See, I was kind of almost wondering if Arya's been playing as Littlefinger the whole time, like pretending. But then, like, I think Hales was telling me, like, the person has to be dead for her to mimic them. So you have to take her face, basically. So
that scene with in the room, Sansa and Arya talking about, and she's like, "Let's play this game that the lies and whatnot," and then they go through that whole dialogue. I saw that as her saying it out loud, as if maybe Littlefinger can hear them bickering, and it's like his plans coming out like
to fruition. Sort of.
Yeah, and then at the end, what Littlefinger probably wouldn't have seen is she hands the dagger to say, "Have this blade, as in my trust," kind of thing. My trust is in you, kind of thing. And then that's how I saw it. Like, she, not in words, she just handed it over.
I had a thought about the scene of Sansa with Littlefinger, and Littlefinger's like, oh, maybe enlist Lady Brienne or whatever. I was like, has Arya already killed Littlefinger and she's pretending to be him? That was one thought I had.
That's what I was thinking.
Trying to see if they were both in the same scene together, Littlefinger and Arya, because I don't think that's come apart yet. I thought the same.
Because the scene where Sansa goes into Arya's room and she finds the bag, and she pulls out the first mask, and you can see it sort of has dark facial hair and stuff, but you only get a real quick glimpse at it. I thought it was Littlefinger's face to begin with, and then the second one she pulls out is Walder Frey's. But I like Matt said last week, like, I can't remember what happened, the season before the last. So perhaps she's already disguised herself as someone else. Like, I just can't remember.
Yeah, I was trying to work that out too, because I had that in my mind, and I've been trying to see if they're in the same scene together, but they're not really. The last you see them together is when she was fighting.
I hope there's a fucking good twist on this, because if it's not, if it's playing out the way that it's just playing out now,
this is a lot of wasted time.
Yeah.
It's a lot of wasted time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do bears have blue eyes? The scene with the zombie bear.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
It was epic, yeah.
I love Hound's, like, still, like, scared of fire and stuff, and, like, he was kind of crippled in that fight. He couldn't do anything, and...
Even when they lit that guy's... We have gone in spoiler territory, haven't we?
We don't care about spoilers when we talk about Game of Thrones.
No, everyone's fucking seen it.
Yeah.
Like, that part, even just lighting that guy's body up.
He had to turn his back.
And he turns away. Just little touches like that. It's not obvious. You just see him in the background turn. Yeah. And that shows.
The way Beric and Thoros ignite their swords, where they grab the blades and they run their hands up. Fuck, that was sick.
That's cool.
Love it.
It's almost like they've got like a flint or something to spark it as it goes up.
And where he puts the blade in the snow and used a bit of that CG budget to
really cool.
extinguish the flame.
I really liked that moment with Jorah talking to what was the other guy, and he's like, when I saw you in battle, he's like,
Thoros.
And he said, when I saw you
charge through the gate,
he's like, I thought you were the most heroic or
the bravest man I've ever seen.
And then he's just like the drunkest, and you could just see it in Jorah's eyes. Like, he actually looked really disappointed. Like, he's kind of sad to hear that. I thought, just little moments like that, really.
And the guy's fucking nuts as well.
Yeah. It's like, it's almost like he's looked up to him, and maybe that's the reason. Probably saw him as a bit of an icon or something.
He's your Hancock.
Yeah.
I liked how in that scene where you were saying about the Hound, where he was just like totally crippled by fear, and then Thoros jumped in to save him, and he was struggling with the bear, like with the blade in his mouth, and the Hound still couldn't even jump in to help him, you know, like Tormund and that tried, but he ended up getting bitten and stuff, and yeah. It's great little touches.
It kind of shows
characters and stuff that still shine through.
It really shows the level of trauma, how he's traumatized. It really shows he cannot help you if there's fire involved. Like, it really showed an example.
Perhaps he'll get a scene later, maybe in next season or whatever, where he just overcomes and pushes through that and has one moment where he, doesn't let the fear get to him.
Yeah.
Maybe. We'll see. So Thoros ends up dying. Thoros of Myr ends up dying, the Red Priest. So Beric's on his last life now, which he seemed fine with. I've been searching for my death for a long time, or my end, or whatever. Beric's such a cool character. I was reading an interview, I forget the guy's name, it was Richard something perhaps, the actor who plays Beric, and they were talking about the flaming sword scenes. And they're like, was that flaming sword actually real? He's like, yeah, it's real. He said, we can ignite it, but we can only have it lit for 2 minutes. And he said the sword is a lot heavier than a regular sword because it's got, you know, mechanics and shit and all that in it. So he goes, and wearing the eye patch and stuff, he said, you know, as soon as you ignite the sword, he's like, my vision's like totally gone. He's like, I'm blinded. He's like, I just get the glare of the flame, the brightness from the flame in front of me. And he goes, it's very hard to use the sword because it's a lot heavier and his vision's limited. So he's like, we have to just like slow down my moves. So like when you see in the show that his movements, he moves a little bit slower. That's why. Yeah. It's cool. Cool little stuff like that. Very cool. And the money shot where he grabs the handle and the camera's lower and looking up at him and the sword just fucking ignites. That's awesome.
So I've been watching in this first season and then seeing Beric. There's a moment there where you first see him and Ned sends him off to go hunt down the mountain.
The Hound.
The mountain.
The mountain.
Yeah, the mountain. So Hound's brother, because he gone rogue and Ned strips him of all his, knight and
all his titles,
and now he's on the run, And yeah, Beric is the one who goes after him, and he's a different actor there, though.
Yeah, different cut, yeah.
But yeah, that was really interesting to see. I was like, hang on, I know that name. And then I looked it up. I was like, fuck, they're all linked, you know. And then, yeah, and it made sense actually watching this episode. He talks about that moment in this episode. He's like, oh yeah, Ned actually sent me off to hunt down the Hound.
There are a lot of great throwbacks in this episode.
Yeah.
About where Ned was trying to hunt down Jorah and he was going to hang him and stuff. And John's like, I'm glad he didn't catch you and stuff. And so did I.
Yeah.
He's actually Scottish, Ian Glenn, I found out the other day. Actually Scottish, not Irish. What else happened? Oh, the scene where they find the White Walker group. And they ambush them and stuff. The fire and that was cool.
That was awesome.
And the lake scene. You can sort of hear the rumbling like through the canyon, and then they're like, run! And they start to run for the lake, and then they all just start to like spill through this canyon mouth, and they just run to that little island, and the whole ice just breaks.
Yeah.
It's just like a trench of water and that they can't get over.
It was really good to see how they displayed how killing one of the White Walkers will get rid of all their minions that they've created.
All the ones they've resurrected.
Yeah. Which is great.
It's like a little mini boss fight.
Yeah. It's a breakthrough, really, isn't it? Like, I was like, whoa. As soon as I saw that, I was like, that is really cool.
And it was pretty awesome and creepy how they were all just standing around that lake waiting. Yeah. I'm like, surely they've got bow and arrows or spears or something they can chuck. And I'm like, I think they just like scaring them. Yeah. I think they just like, they don't care. They got fucking time. They're dead. They're not on a schedule.
I laughed when the Hound threw that big rock and it just smashed his jaw off.
Yeah.
And then...
That was one of the better scenes in the episode.
Did you guys see that coming like a mile away, though? I did. Like, as soon as he picked up that rock and threw it, I'm like, oh, don't do that. And then he hit the one, and I was like, that's really funny. And then when he threw another one, I'm like, here we go.
Yeah. That was great.
Yeah. The second, and it just skidded, and he's like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
I was thinking...
Dumb! It was really well-directed episode, this one. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, I think I mentioned to you the other day, Brent, how I think...
Don't call me Brent.
But, they were all deliberately... I think it was all well-planned by the White Walkers. They could have really taken him down in that middle bit, but I'm pretty sure they were just waiting. Their plan was to take a dragon. That's their ultimate goal. I think
You've been watching a lot of videos on YouTube.
Yeah. How the fuck do they know about dragons? Like...
I don't know. I suppose they would.
Like, I guess maybe wargs.
Well, these walkers have been around forever.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
I was looking at it, and they had like 3 spears all ready to go, and then there's 3 dragons. I just kind of made sense of that.
True.
I don't know. It just seemed to piece together.
I think that was sort of. You have to sort of suspend your disbelief there a little bit. With
They've got webcams set up on around Westeros.
They got like Raven cams.
They're like, the dragons are back. Quick, get the spears out.
Go for some bloody ice spears, mate.
Wouldn't you love that if the White Walkers finally speak and they're like, hey, mate, you got any bloody spears, do you? Dragon spears?
You've never heard them talk. You never know what they sound like. They could be...
G'day, mate, Toro. Been trying to get past this wall for the last bloody 1,000 years. Can't do it. Mind leaving the gate open next time?
I really like the small touch. Everyone had dragon glass weapons. So Jorah had the 2 daggers, and the Hound had like a little tomahawk. Tormund had the big axe, and the red shirts had spears and stuff. And I never noticed it the first time. I thought only Jorah had the daggers and stuff. And then I noticed the Hound, and then on the second watch, I noticed they all sort of went in there with regular weapons to begin with. But then when it got to fighting the Whites, they all whipped out the dragon glass weapons, which was really handy because Jorah took down that bear with one stab, just like boom in the back of the neck. Yeah,
done.
So it was just Gendry's hammer, wasn't it? That wasn't... Yeah.
That was cool when they were coming over the ice and the Hound's just like, oh, fuck it, and went up, bang!
Yeah, awesome.
He could have also kept smashing another moat around the
could have done. But they're only like 3 feet away. It's just like, just waiting for that ice to freeze over.
Yeah.
What else happened? So Gendry went running off and they sent a raven, and then Daenerys come to the rescue with the 3 dragons? 3 dragons.
There was a lot of talk online about the travel of those ravens and how it seemed like it might have been one night that they were there.
They were there overnight, yeah.
It was pretty fast travel-y.
There was like actual measurements online. People have calculated it, and apparently it takes 5 days for Daenerys to get word. So
the director of the episode, Alan Taylor, he even said the other day in an interview, he's like, the whole timeline with the travel and everything, ravens and dragons and all that sort of stuff. He's like, yeah, that's a little bit naff in this episode, but, you know, just we thought we sort of patched over it sort of well enough in the time we had. You know, because what do they have there? They don't have night. They have like the eternal twilight or whatever they call it, you know, beyond the wall. So they're like, we thought we could get away with that. You know,
who's to say they're like real world ravens? They could be Westeros ravens that can fly quicker.
Real raven might be a bit faster.
Yeah, they got the express pigeon package.
Express. That's great.
So Daenerys comes along and saves the day with all the dragons, and Viserion ends up getting killed. The amount of blood that was coming out of that dragon's neck, that was fucked. I was like, ooh,
it's kind of cool how it burst out flames from inside too, like from within.
Yeah, sort of combusted outward. Yeah, that was cool.
Really cool.
As the dragon was going down, I just turned to Hales and went, they just scored themselves a fucking dragon. And she just turned around and went, oh, fuck! Oh, no way! Do you reckon? And I was like, fuck yeah, they were. They ain't wasting a fucking dragon. Yeah. If they can take a bear, they can take a fucking dragon.
The one thing I was thinking that scene when he had the spear and he was about to do it, I was like, why is he not aiming for the one they're all getting on? But yeah, I don't know. Because they were like right there parked. So that would have been a perfect shot. But yeah,
wasn't as dramatic, I suppose. Wouldn't have been as dramatic.
Yeah.
So Viserion gets killed. Jon takes a dip. There was this big thing about Longclaw when Jon pops up out of the water. People were saying that, I saw this article online, that Longclaw actually, on the hilt, the head of the wolf, actually opened its eye when Jon came out of the water.
Yeah, and fucked, really?
Yeah, when I rewatched it the second time round, on his sword, where he talked about, the wolf's head on the pommel. When I rewatched it the second time, I kept an eye out for it, and it sort of does shift and change, but then the next day, there was an article from Alan Taylor on Geek Tyrant or something like that. He said, the moment with the eye that everyone's talking about, he's like, that wasn't intentional. He's like, so I'm not sure what happened there, but yeah, he said that was never purposeful sort of input.
Do you reckon someone in the editing is just like, oh, I'm just going to sneak a little flicker of the eye here, just for fun, see if anyone noticed.
So that was cool. Uncle Benjen pops up and saves the day with Jon, and then gets killed.
So if I remember right, so is he like half White Walker or something, like a half?
Oh, like I said, I can't remember what happened a few seasons back.
I remember the one time he turns up and he's got like half blue eyes and his skin's all bluish and his veins are bluey.
Yeah, he's not quite.
Where's the last time you see him before this? I was trying to work that out.
Someone bumps into him in the snow. I can't remember if it was Jon.
Wasn't that when Bran was like locked up under the tree, becoming the three-eyed raven or whatever? Didn't he run into the others outside?
I feel like maybe, yeah.
Yeah, and he's like explains a bit to him about it, and I thought, oh shit, he's like a half breed or something. And then
and he just gets killed straight away in this episode, sort of unceremoniously. He just gets killed. Take my bloody horse, get out of here.
Come
with me. There's not enough time. There's plenty of time, Benjen.
I wonder if he's got that. I think Jon Snow and Benjen both seem to get this thing where they can't die. They just keep coming back no matter what happens to them. Like Jon Snow, when he went in that water, I was like, if he crawls out of here, he's kind of immortal, I think. And he did. He crawled out, and I was like, okay, this guy, I feel like he's died once. He can keep coming back. I don't know.
I was thinking, man, the clothes, like wearing those fresh soaked clothes, like, and keeping them on, I thought, man, that would make you colder than if you were just like naked.
The scene where they're on the boat and they strip him off and all his clothes are like cracking and that with it all frozen and stuff.
Rip him off.
That actually happened with my car door this morning. There was this massive frost, and the frost on the windscreen of my car was that thick, like I couldn't see through it. I just saw light, like, coming through. And I unlocked the door, and I went to open the driver's side door, and as I pulled it, it just went...
Oh.
Yeah, frost was thick this morning.
Yeah.
What else happened? Oh, then there was the scene with Jon and Daenerys on the boat. And I just kept yelling at the TV. I was literally yelling at the TV. Don't pash! Don't pash! Don't pash! Don't pash! I don't want them to pash. I don't want them to have any romantic links whatsoever. I don't want them to fucking neck on us. It's something that's just going to get in the way.
Don't you think in that scene, though, they held hands and they were like looking like they were going to pash. And then it's almost like genetics took over and you could see it in their faces. Like they went, something's really fucking wrong about this. And they like both let go like, like it's like that kind of like a fucking pheromone or a scent kicked in, and they're just like, you smell like a sister. like we're related. I don't know. Like they just had that look in their eyes, like they knew they were fucking related or something.
She went to pull her hand away, and John sort of held onto her. I'm like, John, put it away. Put it away.
Come on, Luke Skywalker.
I read something on Reddit. They reckon that, well, it's just a theory that, you know how the witch says back in season 1 when she's trying to save Drogo and death gives life. There was something about Daenerys, how she's barren or can't have kids now.
Barren?
And then that's apparently what they...
Yeah, right.
And then...
Tumbleweeds. Make it sound so...
Apparently,
the opening of the Big Lebowski with the tumbleweeds. You tumbling.
But like,
sorry, Pat,
because John has died or something. Apparently, there's a theory they reckon that he is probably one of the ones that could conceive, a child with her or something like that.
Undead child.
And Targaryens, they all have been incest, in all their like bloodlines,
inbred.
And so he, and there might be another Targaryen. That's a theory, but I don't know.
You went too deep into YouTube, didn't you?
It's a stretch. Reddit gives me a lot of...
You've been reading all the fan fictions.
One other thing I want to bring up before I go to the ending of the episode. Yeah. There's a scene with Tyrion and Daenerys where they sort of set the seeds for a future democracy. Like Tyrion was asking Daenerys, he's like, we have to start planning for the future. Who's going to rule after you're gone? Sort of setting the seeds because she can't have children. So she's like, oh, are you planning my successor already? I haven't even taken the throne, you bastard. So maybe setting the seeds for sort of a...
Like, you're going to fly up north of the fucking wall and fight White Walkers. You don't want a little backup plan, Daenerys? Fucking hell. Yeah.
It was good, though. CG was fucking great in this episode, too. Like, those dragons were fucking spot on, beautiful.
Quality, like, big budget movie.
Ice Dragon, do you reckon?
I said it last week.
We asked
what
it last week.
What did I say last week?
Yeah.
What did I say last week?
Do you think it'll breathe ice, or it'll be like just blue fire?
Well, that's
probably blue fire.
Hales asked that exact question when the eye opened up and it was blue, and she was like, "Ice Dragon." I fucking hope so.
Conveniently, just spray like freeze everything as it like breathes its ice everywhere.
That'd be fucking awesome.
Yeah, it'd be crazy.
Or it'd be like a blue flame. Where it's, I reckon blue flame.
You reckon?
Because I reckon ice would be harder to model or whatever. Bobby?
Predictions?
As far as budget goes, I think they'd cost as much as each other. I think. Yeah.
So everyone was kicking up a stink. They're like, where did they get all those chains from? Where did they get all those chains from?
That's what I mean. They had it planned. There you go. They knew their dragon was coming.
Alan Taylor said himself, he's like, well, perhaps they took the chains from sunken ships and stuff at Hardhome. So they took all the chains and they're from there. So you sort of...
What, the undead?
Yeah.
To drag it out of the thing.
They dragged Viserion
out. They're fucking undead. They walk around with chains all the time. You never played a fucking video game with undead zombies?
You never see like the back end of the army. They're just like dragging the chains
fuck this job.
I'm telling you, they were counting on dragons. That was their plan. They had 3 spears. I reckon
this guy has been watching too many videos this week. Watching all the analysis videos.
The chains, there you go. They knew they were going to get one.
Bullshit.
I think this episode was probably the greatest piece of television I've watched in a very long time.
Yeah.
I think...
Pat's pissed.
Sorry.
Yeah. I love Battle of the Bastards, but I think this might have actually been better.
Yeah, this is
although the Battle of the Bastards was a fucking good piece of TV as well. That was amazing. But this was 7 seasons in the making. Like, this was kind of like fucking, what's it been, 7 years now? 7 years waiting for that fucking dragon to torch some fucking undead. Like,
yeah.
And on that same note, I was going to bring this up. Like, this show is it's changed forever now. Like, this show won't be the same after this episode. Like, this episode was a game changer.
Yep.
This show has gone from sort of fantasy-ish, medieval, political, sort of house survival show. After this episode, now it's full-blown fantasy.
Lords of fucking
epic.
Rings. Yeah.
Like on Lord of the Rings levels, with all that kind of stuff.
So this is like full-blown fantasy epic now.
Yeah.
Like
you remember the first time you saw the Red Witch do a fucking smoky fucking evil thing?
Yeah.
And that was like one of the earliest inklings of just magic in that show, and you're like, holy fuck.
And you don't see it again, really.
And they sprinkled that shit like few and far between for a long time, for a good 4 years or so.
Like bringing people back to life and stuff, and you're like, this is not what this show sort of is, you know? But now the tide has turned, or changed, or however you want to, saying you want to throw in there. Full-blown fantasy epic, I love it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nothing like this on TV before.
Nope.
And finally, I will say, Alan Taylor directed this episode, who directed a lot of TV and movies in the 90s and stuff, and he recently directed Thor: The Dark World and Terminator Genisys. After this episode of Game of Thrones, I forgive Alan Taylor for Terminator Genisys. I forgive him. I forgive him.
Oh, we got some words to talk about Terminator Genisys.
I'm not going there.
I'll save that for... No, fuck it. Let's bring it up now. We came out of the cinema. We just came from fucking Terminator 2. And we were standing around and fucking Patty was... I said to Patty, we were getting some KFC, and I was like, I haven't seen any of the Terminators after 3. No Salvation, Genisys, or... Is that it?
That's it.
That's it, yeah. And Paddy turns to me and he goes, "Oh, Genisys is real good." He's like, "That's the second best Terminator movie." And I stopped for a second and I went, "Second best? So T2's your favorite?" "Yep." "So it's better than Terminator 1? Genisys is better than Terminator 1? And he's like, "Yeah, yep." And then I turned to Brent and said, "What do you think?" And he's like, "What the fuck are we talking about?" I'm not even fucking gonna fucking compare that shit. So I want to hear both of your guys' side of the story now. Pat, let's start with you because you fucking brought it up.
It's a trap.
What?
I'm gonna.
What is it about Genisys?
I know I'm gonna get chat all over here.
What about Genisys that beats number one for you? Because it's personal preference. It doesn't matter what Jags thinks. Like if you like Genisys better, fine. But sell me. What?
Well, I was going off overall. Like once the movie's done, how did you feel about it? And I enjoyed Genisys more than 1. I remember I've watched 1 a bunch of times. A great movie, don't get me wrong, but I don't know why, but I enjoyed Genisys more. You got to remember, Genisys wouldn't be what it is without 1 or 2 or any of them. So, you know,
what is it about
Stop
Genisys?
trying to crawl out of the fucking hole.
What like what like specific sort of bits did you really like about Genisys?
That's what I mean. With 1, Genisys pretty much is 1 repeated, but like they go through those elements of what happened in 1, and they're in the same era, repeated of like, you know, when Arnold and the punks and all that stuff unravels again. And
so then, what's the premise? What set me up for Genisys? Because I haven't even seen it.
So they're like the same. Yeah, it's
Genisys starts in the future with John Connor and Kyle Reese and that, and they beat Skynet. We've won. We've beat Skynet. We've done it. We've bloody won. We've won. We've won the war. This is where the tide turns.
Right.
And they get inside their base, and they're like, "Oh no, the machines that they've activated their weapon, their super weapon, which is a time displacement field. So they've sent the first Terminator, the Arnold Schwarzenegger from the first Terminator, back in time. So this is the moment where they're like, right, we need someone to go back to protect Sarah Connor. Because John knows what's going on. He knows the story. He's grown up knowing it. So he's waiting, and then Kyle Reese volunteers to go back. He's like, I'll go back, I'll protect her and whatever. And he's got the photo and everything. And he goes back and he gets there, and it plays out as the first film does. So Kyle Reese pops up in the alley and he pinches pants off a hobo, and then the cops chase him. He goes into the department store, which is beautifully recreated from the first film. And he gets the shoes and everything and the trench coat. And Arnold pops up in the middle of the like observatory car park or whatever. And he goes to approach the three punks. And he's like, "Oh, give me your bloody clothes because I'm a giant naked Austrian dude."
Australian dude.
Australian dude.
Give me your bloody clothes, you dickhead.
And then you just hear from behind him, you hear, "I've been waiting for you." And then you turn around and it's Arnold. It's current day Arnold. And then they have a big scrap. So what's actually happened is Arnold from the future, future, has gone back in time. It's never explained and it never will be because it was a shit film. It goes back. They go back to when Sarah was a child, and he saves Sarah, and he raises her like to her sort of their age she is in the first film, so like 25 or whatever.
Yep.
And she's become this big badass warrior. So they end up saving Kyle Reese. They destroy the first Terminator, and then they're like, right, there's a T-1000 after him as well, and they destroy the T-1000. They're like, right, now we're gonna go. Fuck, I can't remember where they go. We're going to go into the future to 1997 or whatever and stop this. And then the whole timeline's fucked up because John Connor becomes a fucking Terminator and all this shit. And it's a fucking terrible movie.
So that's where I actually hated that part. The John Connor, they turn him into a fucking...
The thing about John Connor,
Terminator,
that would have been...
That ruined it.
That would have been a great reveal in that movie. But on the theatrical poster, they've got this big flame, and they've got the Terminator John Connor right in the middle. And then in the second trailer, they've got the scene where John Connor, they show him he's become sort of a Terminator.
Yeah,
I'm like, that's like the most interesting bit you've already spoiled.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's Terminator Genisys. Oh, and they get to the future, and it turns out that there's this new app coming out called Genisys, and it turns out to be Skynet.
Of course, it's a fucking app.
Yeah, an app.
Oh.
And this guy's in the hospital. He's like, "Yeah, I get Genisys in like 3 days. My phone will connect to my tablet, which will connect to my car, which connect to I don't know my blow up doll." And I'm like, "This is fucking bullshit." I don't want Sky. I hate current day technology. I hate it as much as I'm a slave to social media and everything because I am. I don't like it. I don't have to like it, but it's just the way the world works now. And this guy's like, fucking app. Apps are so cool. Fucking Uber and shit. And now it's just like Skynet's a fucking app. And I don't want Skynet to be a fucking app.
And it syncs to everyone's phones or something on the whole planet, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's bullshit. Fuck Skynet. Fuck Terminator Genisys.
Because everybody gets Skynet on their phone.
Anyway, the first Terminator's the best because it is.
Yeah, I'm not like...
So what about Terminator 1? So you hated that bit with John Connor?
In Genisys, they did ruin the whole movie with just the fact that he had to be a fucking Terminator. Like,
did you like the app thing or hate that as well?
No, I hate that.
So what are the two things in Terminator 1 that you hate? Because you have to wait. You have to
hate?
Yeah.
Nah, I was going off overall enjoyment after the whole movie. The first one had a few moments where it was... And it's crazy tense, and it's a good Terminator movie, bloody good. But I was just going off overall, like, what did I enjoy more after I watched it? I don't know why, I just really like Genisys. And like I said, it's only because of it follows through the other movies, and it's got what happened. You know, I wouldn't... It's just that kind of thing, so... But yeah, the movie...
So if you were stuck on a desert island, and you found a fucking genie in a lamp, and you rub the lamp, and pops out Will Smith... And he's like, "Yo, bro, I've got no wishes left." With a bottle of
whiskey in his hand and a beanie on.
"I've got no wishes left, but I've got a copy of the Terminator and Terminator Genisys, but you can only have one to watch for eternity. Which one would you pick? Would you pick Terminator Genisys?"
For eternity? Oh, jeez, I don't know.
I'll put you on the spot.
You're on the spot. Well, yeah, it's probably... Yep, I would. Go on.
Here we go. He wants to fight.
There's a lot more stuff in it that happens that's really cool, really good moments.
Alright,
here we go.
Terminator.
Here's the thing. I love you, Pat. I love you. I love you to death. I'm not gonna shit on you. I'm not gonna shit on your birthday cake.
But you're about to.
I'm about to.
A big old lumpy cornfield one.
Everything before but means nothing.
Look, here's the thing. I like all film. I appreciate all film. Pat, I love you to death, but you like current stuff. You like big practical. You like big blown CGI. You like good big bangs and whistles and car chases and all this sort of stuff. which is why you don't like anything pre-1990. The Terminator, it's classic. It's faultless. It's like a sci-fi. It's more of a. It's you could almost call it a horror movie. It's a thriller. Yeah. It's a chase movie. Yep. It's almost a noiring theme. It's very dark. It's really gritty. Can't beat those practical effects. It's a bit wishy-washy now, but the surgical eye scene where Arnie's shot in the face and he removes his eye, and you got the big prosthetic head. But this is like 1983.
Yeah, what do you expect?
Yeah, and that was from Stan Winston. Like that was his best work at the time, and it's still great. Like can't fault it. Without the Terminator, there wouldn't be Terminator 2. Could you live in a world without Terminator 2?
Nope.
No. Could you live in a world without Terminator?
I did live in a world without Terminator 2 for about 6 years. 4
or 5 years.
Yeah.
I don't know. The Terminator, it's great. It all takes place in one night, one day, not a 24-hour period.
I really wish they'd do a... you said James Cameron was doing a new one, didn't you? So
yeah. I was going to save all this for later after the Terminator thing, but we'll talk about it now.
I was just going to say, I just really wish, because I think they're perfect as they are, and after T2, I kind of wish they do that thing that they were going to do with Alien, and pretend that the others didn't happen, and then just go from after 2, get James Cameron to do a third that's going to actually be really good, like, I just want to see, I don't want to reboot, I don't want them to just can't do them without Arnold, like, I just think it's...
Well, this is like we said the other week. Like, James Cameron is talking the next Terminator film will be a reinvention of the franchise.
But didn't it say he's going to get Arnold to come back as like a civilian?
Arnold's going to come back as the human model for the T-800.
Oh, okay.
So the human that the T-800 is based off. Like in the Terminator 3
it'll probably
deleted scene, Sergeant Candy or whatever his name is. I'm Sergeant Candy!
I'm Sergeant Candy! I sound like Samuel L. Jackson and Colonel Sanders put together.
That was actually kind of funny to watch. Like, it didn't take itself too serious, but...
We can fix it.
It's kind of glad they did delete it out of the movie, but good to watch after.
Oh, man.
After it all.
That's only just come up recently. I remember watching that on the DVD when it came out, like 2004.
I'm for like a reinvention. I think new ideas are always good. Like rather than rehashing, because I mean, fuck, they've done the same thing over and over and over now for a while, and
tried reboots and they always flop.
Or it's you're just tying more shit to a great thing, like a story that was already great. Why like throw more shit at it to make it more convoluted, more fucking or dumb it down and make it more stupid? Like just do something new and reinvent
the fact that he's a Terminator, and then just do your own thing, whole different story, do it on different people, whatever.
Yeah,
I reckon that'd be the way to go. Just some kind of Terminator. I'll be quiet now. I got nothing to say.
Any more news, or what are we?
I did have news.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. We'll do this. We'll go to our Terminator 2 thing.
Yep.
So I had a couple little bits of news, but in the last day or two, I shared some of the stuff with you already, and we had a bit of a chat about it this morning. Mm-hmm. But I've sort of taken all these 3 or 4 pieces of news, and I've lumped them into one big ball of news that I'm going to roll down the hill at you.
Bad Boy 3, it's happening.
Actually, it's not happening. I read an article. That's not part of the news, but I'll just throw this in real quick.
I can always
he had to bring it up again, didn't he?
Martin Lawrence. Somebody asked Martin Lawrence about Bad Boys 3, and he's like, it's not happening. I don't think it's going to happen. He's like, I'm ready to do it now, but Will's off doing another movie or whatever, and he's like, it's up to the studio, so... He's like, if they come to me tomorrow and said, let's do it, he's like, I'm ready. But he's like, I don't think it's gonna...
I'm bloody ready.
That was a good one.
Oh, how good was Bad Boys 2, though? Come on.
Fucking terrible.
What are you watching?
The scene where they're chasing and all the bodies are falling out, they're driving over all, that's fucked.
That's epic. It was awesome. Yeah, it was messed up. It was funny, though. It was really funny. Cool.
Your guys' taste in movies are real fucking button up against each other tonight, aren't they?
That's why I love that movie. It was just like a good time. It was fun.
Woosa.
Yeah.
Oh.
Fucking rubbing
I
his
always
ears
say
and
that
shit.
to Alira all the time. She gets cranky, I just go, woosah, and she does it too.
Bad boys for life.
Shit just got real.
Michael Bay's nausea camera.
Oh,
spinning around him.
Fucking hell. Paddy, that's what Paddy likes. He just likes the camera to keep moving constantly, like 100% of the movie.
I say a few quotes, like when we're in the car driving, on the highway, and if someone's up your ass, you know how you got some tailgater?
I know all about that.
And then in Bad Boys 2, and he has that quote, he's like, I got this guy so far up my ass, if he spits, it's coming out of my mouth. Just so bad quotes like that.
Christ.
And I say it to her, like, this guy's so far up my ass.
Oh, fucking hell.
Good movie. I love it. Can I do a review?
You can do a review.
Yeah,
We'll take the night off.
Give me 30 minutes and I'll go.
I'll give you 60 seconds.
Nah, don't worry.
It's Patrick Brown's 60-second review of Bad Boys 2.
I'll keep it to myself.
He can take the whole hour and a half next week, and we'll just take the week off. What do you reckon?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Go, Pat. You got 60 seconds review Bad Boys 2. Go.
No, that's all right. You remember for its time though, 2004.
I never took some girl to the cinema to see it on a first date.
That's not a date. That movie dates well though. You could watch it now and it's still the effects and everything in it is great. Yeah.
Yeah, Pat.
Honestly. It's a good watch.
You lost him.
I love you, mate, and I'd do anything for you, but if your house was on fire, I would not grab your copy of Bad Boys 2 on the way out.
You got no sense of humour, mate.
I have a very good sense.
Spare me! Nah. Save my Bad Boys 2!
Save my Bad Boys 2 Blu-ray!
What about Mason? Nah, leave him! Bad Boys 2!
I only recently got it on Blu-ray like a year ago. Took him so long to get
it. Yeah, he was asking me for a long time. Is Bad Boys 2 on Blu-ray? Nah, mate, nah.
What about now?
Yeah.
No.
And then I messaged him. I was like, it's coming out in Blu-ray. Oh, you're joking! When? I'll get it now.
I was like, if you see it at Cunningham's, get it for me.
I've got a bit of news here. It's sort of all over the place, so I've just got to sort of write myself. Like I said, I take photos of stuff so I don't have to write it down. But I can't make sense of my photos. Anyway, I'll sort of start at the top. DC film
Here we go.
news.
Oh! Look at the hate.
I'm just joking.
Hate machine over here.
Here we go. What's that? Can you hear the fax machine? I'll just check. Oh, it's Patrick's Marvel contract coming through. Patrick Brown cannot mention the letters D and C in the same sentence.
Without a negative connotation.
All right. So, yesterday, news come through the grapevine that a Joker origin film is in the works. Now, I have one positive and one problem with this. Positive is, yeah, Joker movie, that's cool. Problem is, origin movie, the Joker doesn't really have a definitive origin. The Killing Joke is probably considered the closest to a actual Joker origin we'll get, but that's not sort of set in stone. Over time, bits and pieces have been taken for that and run with.
Yep.
Like Batgirl being paralyzed and whatever, Barbara Gordon being paralyzed and becoming Oracle and whatever, and her struggling with, the incident where she was shot and everything that happened with her and the Joker and stuff. The movie is being produced by, wait for it, Martin Scorsese.
That's a big name to have on it.
Who's that?
What?
What?
It's bad. Martin Scorsese,
Shit.
Taxi Driver, Raging Bull, Goodfellas, Casino, Gangs of New York, Wolf of Wall Street.
Goodfellas. Love Goodfellas.
the
It's one of my all-time favourites.
the scene where they walk through the bar, the tracking shot where it follows them, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Through the kitchen and all that stuff, that's wicked. That's a great shot. It is being co-written by Todd Phillips and Scott Silver and directed by Todd Phillips. Todd Phillips directed Road Trip, The Hangover Part 2, The Hangover Part 3, Due Date, and War Dogs, which I saw at the cinema last year, which I actually quite enjoyed. So
Is this going to be a fucking rom-com or what?
That's what I was thinking.
the thing is, though, it then came out that this movie is not a part of the DC EU. This is a standalone Joker film. And I'm like, okay.
So you said no Leto as well, no Jared Leto.
No Jared Leto.
Thank fuck.
But Jared Leto is still doing Suicide Squad 2, the Joker and Harley Quinn movie, which just announced its 2 directors. They have 2 directors, Glenn Ficarra and John Requa, who directed I Love You, Philip Morris, Crazy Stupid Love, Focus, and Whiskey Tango Foxtrot.
Have you ever seen I Love You, Philip Morris?
I've seen a bit of it, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
The whole thing. That's actually a really good movie.
I've seen a bit of it, yeah. And then it came down, so I'm sort of just breezing over these real quick, that now DC have decided that they're going to have 2 separate, well, you call them universes.
They can't just have one.
So we've got the DC... Let me finish. They've got the current DCEU, which they have. So it's Wonder Woman, Justice League, Aquaman, Batman v Superman, Man of Steel, all that sort of stuff, Suicide Squad. But now they're having a separate DC universe, which sort of it doesn't have a title, this sort of property, the banner that all these films will go under. So they're all going to be sort of standalone stories, but then it came down.
So it's not really a universe. Then it's like we've got this universe over here, and then just all the other shit over here.
This is going to be our one-shot section where we can sort of go and do. Well, I imagine they can adapt sort of the stories that people want, like the one-shot stories, like Superman, Red Sun.
Yeah,
Gotham by Gaslight.
I get you.
All the best shit.
Yeah, all the best shit.
Well, that's pretty cool. Yeah,
actual faithful stories.
Kind of like how like Marvel's got their big universe, but then there's I know they're not connected, but Sony did all those. They do more the personal.
So the Sony like and the Fox,
Logan, and all those kind of really strong movies come separate. Yeah, cool.
So anyway, this Joker film, I've got a quote here. It says, this will be the first film under a new banner that has yet to be named in which WB can expand the canon of DC properties and create unique storylines with different actors playing the iconic characters. So, the Joker film they've got here, I've just got to find it. Oh.
Do you feel like this is a response to fucking Venom? Like Venom gets a movie, we're going to do a bad guy that gets a movie. Well,
I do have an idea on this. Yeah. I'll just read this out to you real quick because this is the sort of overview of what they want for their Joker film.
Right.
So, in the report, the Joker origin movie is described as a gritty and grounded, hard-boiled crime film set in early 80s Gotham City.
Awesome.
And this version of the Joker won't be related to any other iteration. Yeah, so they pretty much said that they also want to hire probably somebody younger to play the Joker. And in this Joker film, Batman probably won't appear.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
It's a young Joker.
And then after all this hit yesterday, a quote came out from Matt Reeves that said his Batman film is going to be a standalone Batman film, so it's not going to be connected to the DCEU as well. So you can pretty much count Ben Affleck out. Okay. I'm going to say it now, Ben Affleck's not going to be in that movie. Because he said in this quote, I don't have it here. I think I had it, but I've lost it. Anyway, he pretty much said that when he went to Warner Brothers, that's how they sold it to him, as a standalone Batman film. But it's only just coming out now with all this stuff. But yeah, so we're going to have... Here's the thing, like... I kind of feel like this is a bit of a response to the whole connected universe thing. Because the only sort of film company that connected universes work so far for is Marvel. No one else has been able to pull it off. No. Because only Marvel sort of had the idea and they sort of peppered it in at the end of Iron Man. And they're like, if this takes off, well, we can do that. We can try it. And it's worked for them. They've made it work. Everything else that everyone else is doing is just a response to what Marvel's done and all that coin they're making.
So it's kind of cool. So with the DC one, they can... You said they can repeat their characters even in this other universe. So
that's right. So they'll still have their current DC universe they have. So Ben Affleck is Batman, Jared Leto is Joker, Gal Gadot is Wonder Woman, and they'll still have that. And they'll continue that. But off on this other side, the flip side of the same coin, they'll have this other DC banner, which they can have a Joker movie, but they can hire a different actor. They can have another Batman movie, but they can hire someone else to be Batman.
That's cool.
You know,
imagine if they did that.
I reckon they should have fucking done that from the start. Like it's following the whole connected universe shit.
If they have, they do that and have two separate, say, Batman. Imagine having two, and then there's just big favor on the one, and they'll probably just dwindle off the other one.
But here's the thing, though. Like, I feel like this could be a good thing because the only really successful sort of comic book movie, forever, were really DC movies before Marvel came along. So, we had all the Superman films of varying success, all the Batman films of varying success. We even had Steel and all these other movies and that. But, they were always individual movies in their own right, but they could work in little Easter eggs. There's
or like Nolan films where he just made 3 and they were all in that same connected thing,
contained little box.
Yeah,
its own little pocket universe.
Why bring anyone else in? Like you've got a fucking great hero with a great cast of villains. Just fucking keep throwing the good villains at the good hero. Like, I don't know.
I think
why.
this could be a good thing because I'm kind of sick of connected universes. As much as I love them, I'm a bit over them at the same time.
Yeah, you all know
I
how
do
I
like
fucking
all the
feel about
connected
them.
stuff, but it was great having old DC movies and that had sort of little Easter eggs to the bigger DC universe and that. So like they're out there or whatever. It's just a little cool thing that they've worked in.
You can whack them in any time period too. Like you can just you
can do a 80s Joker movie. You can do a Gotham by Gaslight. You can do a Superman Red Sun set in like the 80s. Superman's instead of landing in Smallville, he's landed in Russia.
Yeah,
he's raised by the Russians as a communist. Communist Superman. Like that's a cool idea. That would be a cool movie to see, and it could be a one and done. They could hire someone else. Like, we've still got Henry Cavill and that over here, but we could.
Oh,
go on.
Go on, Marvel boy.
No, I was just going to say, imagine if Superman landed in Australia and he grew up there.
Jesus. How would that go?
Never found out he had superpowers.
Australian man.
You just have no idea.
He's got a wicked tan, though.
There we go.
I totally lost my train of thought. Thanks, Pat.
Sorry, mate.
Actually, Superman gets his power from the sun, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He'd be fucking like mammoth if he landed in Australia. It's just like all sun all the time. If he just grew up in Alice Springs, like holy fuck. Anyway. Back to where you were.
Sorry, mate. I screwed you up there.
Nah, it's alright.
I was just having a good chuckle to myself.
I pretty much lost it anyway. Yeah, so...
Joker movie. Fucking... What do you reckon about an... I hate the idea of an origin movie. I don't mind the idea of a Joker movie or one that's got him in as a bad guy, but I don't know about centering a movie on the Joker. Like
the Joker doesn't... That's one of the best things about the character. You don't know who he is.
Yeah.
You don't know his origin. The closest thing we got is the Red Hood. He break into the thing and Batman chases him or whatever and he accidentally falls into the toxic waste and it's sort of Batman's fault. So Batman's sort of responsible for creating his greatest villain. I
always love the enigma of him just being a fucking psycho and you not really knowing why, but he just is. Like that's the greatest mystery about the Joker. Like I don't want to fucking have that spelled out for me and then all of a sudden sympathize with him. Like he's a fucking bad guy. Like he should stay that way.
Yeah.
There's a great Joker book I bought about 7 or 8 years ago. I was probably 10 years ago now. I can't remember. It was quite a few years ago. The book's just called Joker, and I think it's written by
Writing boy.
I can't remember who it's written by, but the book starts. The book is through the eyes of Johnny Frost. So he's just a henchman in the Joker's crew, but he sort of works his way up to being number one henchman because he's sort of nominated. Joker's getting out of Arkham Asylum, and the other cronies in that have sent him to pick up the Joker. And sort of the couple of interactions they have, he's pretty much like the Joker likes him, so he sort of has him as like his number one guy, following him around. And the book is the Joker's got out of Arkham Asylum, and he's sort of the criminal empire that he had, and all his crew and all his money and that, he's lost it all. And all these other sort of supervillains and that have come in and taken pieces and divvied it up. So this book's about the Joker going back, trying to reclaim his sort of everything he's lost and pull it all back together. And it's through the eyes of Johnny Frost. And
this
in the
could
book,
well be the fucking
this could
story
be,
that they use.
Like, you don't need to do an origin story. You
this
can
sounds,
just do this movie.
This sounds like a Scorsese movie. Like, this sounds like a gangster movie that Scorsese would make in the 90s or whatever.
That's what they said in the article on that. They're like, we want a film that feels like a Taxi Driver or a Raging Bull or a Goodfellas. That's the sort of tone we want
that'd be awesome.
for this film. But you could have that.
I could be on board for that then.
The Joker interacts with Killer Croc, the Penguin or whatever, and then eventually, sort of after time, a Batman turns up at the end of the book. And, it's still... But the whole thing's through the eyes of this one crew member in the Joker's crew, Johnny Frost.
All right, you've sold me on it now. Like, with that idea and that kind of twist and that kind of, overall feeling of the movie, I could be on that. Like a Goodfellas-style Joker movie. That'd be fucking...
I wonder if they'll treat it like a standalone movie like that. Like a Goodfellas with no sequels. So it'll just be
That's the thing I was going to say, Pat. I was going to say... Like, if you had this Batman movie that Matt Reeves is going to do, it's a standalone film. Okay. It turns out to be ace. It makes all the money. It's critically lauded or whatever. And then people turn around and be like, we love this person who's Batman, whoever it is, whoever it may be. When's the sequel coming out? I don't need, you could do a Dark Knight, I guess. You could do 3, but we don't want to do any more than 3. And we don't want to do any more than, whatever.
Turn into another universe and they just keep doing sequels and make
And that's the thing with these stories that are so loved, trying to work them into the existing connected DC universe or the Marvel universe, for example. Like Civil War, Captain America Civil War, as good as that movie is, that is nowhere near close to what the Civil War book is about. Same with Batman v Superman. There are a lot of different stories worked into that. There's The Dark Knight Returns, you've got the death of Superman at the end, which is sort of worked into the last hour of the movie or whatever. There's a lot of different pieces sort of cherry-picked, but no one can do a super faithful adaptation. Like, I'd love to see an adaptation of Batman Year One. Batman Year One's written by Frank Miller and it's about it's pretty much Batman Begins.
Yeah.
So Batman Begins took a lot of stuff from Batman Year One. It's, all the training and that he does, and when he comes back to Gotham and becomes Batman, it's that sort of, that first year he's Batman.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's up to that. And there was a great DC animated movie, Batman Year One, with, it's sort of it's focused on Jim Gordon, who's voiced by Bryan Cranston.
Oh, really?
Cool. Awesome.
He'd make a really good Jim Gordon, actually.
Yeah, he looks the part.
That's actually a good DC animated movie
too.
to watch. Yeah. Except, what's his name? Who plays Jim Gordon in Gotham? Does the voice of Batman in that? Can't remember his name. Forget his name. Anyway, but yeah, I would like to see DC movies. This whole standalone thing. I'd like to see standalone stories. Like I'd watch a 2-hour Superman Red Son.
I'm 100% behind that idea
because they're way grounded too. Like if they just aim for doing one movie. It's just like, wow.
I could guarantee, actually, I probably won't go and see any fucking Justice League related or interconnected DC movies at all, because fucking don't do anything for me. But these standalone things, I'd probably go to every one.
That's the thing, though. Like, is this going to be DC oversaturation? Is the average film goer who's not like us, who doesn't follow all these films and all the news and stuff, and sort of have a bit of a handle on what's going on, are they going to know? Are they going to go to this standalone Joker origin movie expecting to see Jared Leto and Margot Robbie, and they get there and it's this hard-boiled crime thing with the Joker and that in it, played by someone?
Then people are probably actually going to walk out and be fucking refreshed that it's not interconnected. I mean, let's be honest, like, the people who follow these comic book movies and stuff fucking know everything about all of it. Like, they know what they're in for. They're not going to go into a cinema thinking that it's one thing and walk out going like, hey, where's Jared Leto? Like, they'll know before they go. Like, 95% of them will know.
And I'm like, get a few of those haters that are all the mainstream. They're just like, this isn't what we thought. And then, but
it'd be like,
down, like, I think the majority will take over of the love will be there because that's what is needed.
I think
want it.
The best way, if they're going to do it, the best way to spin it would be the whole Star Wars thing. So you got Star Wars Episode 7, Episode 8, the Joker, whatever the banner's called, a DC standalone story or something like that, subtitled.
It's a good idea.
Like Rogue One, a Star Wars story.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's kind of just, that's a label thing. It's like, do they even need to do that? They just go Batman, such and such. Like, Like 5 seconds into the movie, you're going to go like, oh, that's not bloody Ben Affleck. This is a different Batman thing. Like, you know, I think there's definitely already an oversaturation of comic book movies to begin with at all. So them going off and doing these standalone things can only be a good thing, I think, rather than that fucking connected shit that I fucking hate.
I'm actually excited for it.
Yeah, I kind of, when you first sent that stuff out, I just wrote back and I was like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Because I thought that what you meant was like they're going to make another fucking universe.
Another connected universe.
Yeah. But, you know.
I thought you meant that too.
Thinking about it more clearly, I'm like, you know, if they free themselves of the shackles of all that horse shit, and connecting things and bogging themselves down and worrying about like how fucking Superman now all of a sudden ties into this fucking other thing. It's like,
that's what I
who
mean.
gives a shit?
I worry they'll get greedy and like the studios or whatever will start. Like if one of these standalones, like say the Joker one, just boomed and it went massive, and then they're like, okay, now we're just going to make a whole universe out of just this and just expand. I worry that they're going to do that and just get greedy and be like, we're going to make more.
Oh, the way DC operates in the last 10 years wouldn't surprise me in the least if it went down that road, because they kind of just bounce around between. Well, I mean, all the studios do. All the Hollywood does.
It's a risk.
All they do is they take a risk on a thing. They barely ever take risks, but when they do, it either pays off or it doesn't. And if it pays off, then they go, let's make fucking 20 more of those because we know our money's gonna come back.
And that's the risk, because then they might have this gem that would have just been gold on its own, and then, you know,
they'll just siphon that
if
fucking
they do
udder.
sequels, like a next one and then one after, and they'll probably turn out to be a flop. That can affect, you know, the first. It could have just been great on its own, and then you do more. Like, hopefully they do it right.
But, you know, we have a tendency to pick apart everything that we see now as well. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it must be hard for filmmakers out there to actually even take risks, because one, studios won't let them, and two, fucking everybody in the world's a critic, including us three motherfuckers with a podcast that rip everything to shreds that we see. But, you know, like, it is. Like, the whole world has become film critics now.
Yeah.
We're not critics. We're just guys with opinions.
Episode 0. Bringing it back.
We're pretty positive. I think we're pretty good.
I like to remain positive as much as I can. I don't like to rip things apart, because
no, I don't. I try to find the best out of a bad thing. Yeah. You know.
Yeah.
Sometimes like when I went and saw Tomb Raider: The Cradle of Life, like I really wanted to walk out of that movie, but I'm like, you know what? I paid like $15, whatever it was at the time. I'm going to stay and I'm going to watch this movie. And I always do that now. Like if I come out of a movie, I'm like, oh, you know, it was this and that or whatever. But, you know, that was really fucking good, that one bit. Or that writing, that one scene made up for it.
Yeah.
Anyway, DC, more movies. I don't know. If they do a standalone thing and they just focus, instead of, like you said, trying to plan 3 movies ahead and how this character ties into this character's solo film and how this... Just go back to making contained stories.
They're the best.
One and done. Like, you don't have to worry about the next 3 movies down the road. Just worry about this movie.
Yeah.
Then go from there.
Because you think
of the merchandise, you know, like, if you make a fucking truly beloved, amazing superhero movie, and then that's it. Like, it just ends like that. People are ravenous for it. Like, you know, they're not tainted by, like, watering it down until the characters kind of mean nothing to you. Like, if they'd left Ghostbusters alone, say, well, they did for, like, however many decades. Like, fucking people loved those 2 movies. And they loved the shit out of them.
Turn into cult movies, you know, and movies kind of, like you said, like Taxi Driver and things like that, they're great on their own. Like, strong movies, they come out really bold and strong, and then just leave it. Just let it fester with everyone, and they'll remain that way. Yeah.
And WB, they've had shit films, but they're selling merchandise out the arsehole. I mean, the amount of Harley Quinn related shit they would have sold and are still selling because of Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of kids in that I see that go to, like, dress up things and that and want to dress up as Harley Quinn, because I'm like, you shouldn't be looking up to Harley Quinn because she's, like, physically and emotionally and mentally abused woman.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a great woman to be looking up to.
No.
But in the context of that one shit film that you saw, it's not that bad. It's the history of the character. Anyway, DC. I like DC. More DC. Pat's got his hand up.
His Marvel senses are tingling. What's going on?
Mind if I go to the toilet?
Jeez. Righto. You are excused.
Are you gonna
Get out of here. No, we'll just keep going. Fuck
I'll
it.
just keep going. Well, you've drank like 3 and there's 1, 2, 3, 4 beers open there, and I think about, 3 of them have been drank?
Yep.
The equivalent?
He's about halfway through his 4th.
And he's pulled all the labels off.
He's made a fucking
Look at the
mess
fucking mess on my floor!
Jesus Christ.
Motherfucker!
Just sitting there all night, like, talking about DC, it makes him all fucking nervous. He's peeling off the labels. Like,
see all the emails come off on his phone. Marvel. Blim, 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 blim. Anyway, Bob, you and myself and some other guy went and saw Terminator 2 Judgment Day in 3D. Just this few hours gone.
Yas.
Fuck me, it was awesome.
Yeah, man. What a
This isn't really going to be a
fucking good
review.
movie.
We'll probably talk about the 3D aspects and stuff and sort of the remaster, but I think we're really just here to gush about Terminator 2.
Yeah, we've already kind of half reviewed it another show, I think, at some stage. Yeah. We always talk about it.
What did you think of the 3D?
So the first shot when it opens up and it's like the blurry cars and stuff and the credits were rolling, and I was sort of like, ooh, is this going to work with this old footage? And then it cuts to the future and like all the fucking cars are wrecked and shit. And like the second it cut to that shot, I was like,
it was
oh, fuck yes.
When the camera pans over and it, like the 3 different sets of play equipment and that, and it's just like looking through them all. Holy fuck, that looked amazing.
Yeah, and then just to cap it off, the Terminator skull right at the end before the fucking credits sort of like snap close. Yeah, so the skull appearing through the flames.
Oh, so good.
Oh man, the 3D in that fucking scene looked
like you're
so
there.
good. Like I felt like I could put my fingers inside the eye holes of the skull. It was that sort of depth, and I was like, "Fuck yeah!"
It was really good to see it in person in a cinema. Like we were too young to see it when it first came out originally, so we've never experienced it in a cinema before, and I found that just amazing.
Yeah, such a good fucking,
especially in 3D and high def. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, the amount of times I've seen this movie, but this was one of the first times, like, I think I have a bit of a new appreciation for this film after seeing that, because because watching it on a big cinema screen rather than my home telly, I was noticing a lot more stuff I've never seen before, like a lot of details in backgrounds and stuff that I never sort of normally look at because I'm too busy focused on the 1 or 2 characters. And my eyes just sort of had a chance to sort of look around the sets and stuff and that, and it's just real lots of stuff I never noticed before.
Things in the Terminator's eyes on his screen when he's like coming up, and like things that I'd never really read before, like on the side boxes. There's one that really cracked me up. I want to mention it before I fucking forget about it, but there's the scene where he's shooting up the whole fucking car park and trying to like scare all the cops off without killing them all. And it gets to the end and it comes up with casualties and it says casualties 0.0. I'm like, how do you get like 0.1 of a casualty? Shot a couple of arms off that one. That's a 0.6. I fucking had a bit of a chuckle at that bit. That was really good.
There was a funny moment that I noticed because for years and years, it's always, I think it's been, a lot of people have noticed where the helicopter scene and he's flying the helicopter and there was a third arm reaching in and steering.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever seen that? And people have always passed that off as...
it's a movie mistake.
It's a mistake. And it's like, there's a guy steering it, but he's got and then the main guy's got his 2 arms up, one's shooting and one's doing something else.
He's reloading.
Yeah, he's like holding the gun, yeah.
And then, but in this, it's like they've touched it up, and it's like as if they've made it so he's got like 4 arms now. So he's got one steering, he's got another one out here. I could see there was 2 arms now, and then he's doing his reload. And they actually molded it to look like it's coming out of him, so he's grown more arms.
Yeah.
I thought, okay, that's clever then. And there was the other part that you mentioned before, the stunt double. There was back in the original cut, it was always obvious when Arnold's stunt double, when the chase scene
where he jumps down into the to the flood spillway,
and it used to be very clear that that's not Arnie. It was like some other guy. But now, like you said, they've done 3D magic and they've
Arnied faces over the top.
His face is over everything now.
And the
it
same
still didn't look 100% Arnie. I was like looking at it going, it's close. It's closer. But
there was only one fault that I caught, and that was John Connor when he's on the motorbike early before they go into the dam bit or whatever, and he's like zipping around a bend, and it's a stunt kid, and he's got much shorter hair, almost like a bowl cut, and it's too short, and I was like,
90s bowl cut sort of thing.
It wasn't like John Connor's in the movie is like down past his eyeballs. His kid's was only just over his forehead, like a little bit, and it was like a definite different person, but it was like a half a second. So
I didn't even spot that one.
No, I never spotted that. No,
but the rest, man, that was unreal. They did a great job.
What do you think of the remaster? Because the film had been remastered then as well.
I think it was great. What was really... It threw me out a couple of scenes was... The visuals look fucking fantastic and the 3D looks so good that it almost feels like you're watching a modern day movie. There's only a couple of scenes where the CG's kind of like a little, it's a little dated but not too bad. But what threw me was the audio's kind of like still old school. So there was like the whole, I think there was, the chase through the canals and stuff. There was a part where John Connor like stops his bike and he looks over before the truck comes down. And I remember the sound in that bit just sounding like really kind of weird and tinny, like just like old school movies used to sound. But the visuals looked fucking awesome, and I was like, it's weird. It feels like I'm watching this on the big screen, but watching it on an old television.
No, sir.
It was weird. But yeah, other than the sound, the sound was pretty good all the way through, but it's kind of still that kind of 90s sound effects. I think that's what it was.
The only overall down, like, you can't fault this movie much, but the only thing was where the T-1000, as he walks through like the flames and things, I thought they would have, fixed up his metal look. Like it was untouched kind of still. It still looks really cool. And it was always, even for its time, you remember way back in the day, it was amazing.
I don't really want him to touch that though.
No, if you want to cover up an obvious stunt double's face, that's...
That's
fine. But I don't want him to come in and do a George Lucas and touch it up. That's not the kind of guy.
No, because... In 10 years' time, you'll look at it and go, oh, it's, shitty again. That's what happened to Lucasfilms. They're like, oh, we're going to add all these fucking cool new animals into Star Wars. And now you watch it and they're like, that looks fucking horrible.
From 1997.
Yeah.
No, I meant the look of it still looked a little dated. And
I
thought they would have touched it up to look more realistic, as if he was really metallic coming through there.
Nah, don't touch it.
This movie's fucking timeless. You don't touch it.
Yeah,
you can't touch it. You can't improve on perfection. It's what I say to myself every time I look in the mirror.
Like every time the Chrome version of him is animated and stuff, like I look at those animations and go, ugh, it's a bit stiff and whatever, but it adds to the charm of it. If you fixed that up, it'd be too sleek. Or you'd have to replace the whole fucking scene and do it again.
The T-1000 CG in Terminator Genisys, I think, is fucking awful compared to the old stuff. And maybe that's just nostalgia talking, but it doesn't look any better.
No. They had to find ways to hide it and use it in a very limited way in T2. And that's why it holds up so well, I think. Like, they just sprinkle enough in there without it being, like, in your face all the time.
How good was the fight scenes, though, between him and Arnold? Like, so, like, heavy. I always thought their fights were so heavy and impactful, like, just slamming into walls, but, like, real metallic. Like, it just sounds like they're slamming metal against metal all the time. Like, really cool.
James Cameron actually said that when they were filming to Arnold, because when they did their first fight scene, Arnold was trying to throw Robert Patrick and that around, like, lift him up and throw him around, and James Cameron had to step in and be like, Arnold, like... He's actually like liquid metal. You wouldn't be able to lift him. You might be able to toss him a little bit, but you can't lift him over your head. He's too heavy, because he's just like pure metal. You can't. And he's stronger than you. He's more advanced model. He's stronger than you. He's going to be able to toss you around. That's the flip side, the reverse. I also found out the other day. I watched an interview with Robert Patrick. They were talking about T2 in 3D, where he'd watched it and whatever. And this isn't a part of the interview, but I'll bring this up first. Billy Idol was originally cast as the T-1000.
What? What?
Yep.
Oh.
And he'd started filming and stuff. Well, he was on set or whatever, but then he had a motorbike accident and broke his leg. So he couldn't do all the stuff that was sort of physically needed. So Robert Patrick's agent sort of sold Robert Patrick to the producers of the movie as a cross between David Bowie and James Dean.
Oh, yeah.
So he sort of told Robert that before he went in and met them, and he's like, okay, so I'm sort of going to have to bring this sort of intense presence, you know, so that's...
I can kind of see that,
And me too. And that's where he got the stare, so like the intense focus stare, and that's sort of what won him over.
What a fucking great villain he is. Like, he just nails that performance. 100%.
He trained for 4 months in preparation for the role, so he's doing like lots of... I can't remember. It was like judo and water work and like weapons training and lots of cardio, so lots of endurance stuff and that. The very first running scene he filmed was the scene where John jumps on his bike and he comes out of the stairwell and he's chasing him through the car park. The very first time they did that, Robert Patrick caught him.
Get fucked.
Yeah, and James Cameron was just like, "How fast can you run?" And he caught him on the first take, so they had to soup up the dirt bike so it would go faster, so it could outrun Robert Patrick because he ran that fast.
Get fucked.
I loved how one of my favorite things about Stuart Patrick is you got to remember, like back in the day, I think I mentioned this in one of the last podcasts. No one knew that Terminator was actually good. Arnold was going to be good. And I loved how when the first quarter of the movie happens and you see Stuart Patrick there and he's knocking on the door of John
Robert Patrick.
Sorry.
You're thinking Patrick Stewart?
Yeah, probably.
Make it so.
Yeah. There you go. Man, he would be a good T-1000. But he's knocking on the door and he's actually quite friendly when he's to people and stuff. So you kind of, for people who hadn't seen any trailers or knowing anything about the movie, I reckon originally watching that and not even ever knowing anything about T2, you'd kind of be on his side. You'd think he's the good guy because he's got the cop outfit.
He's the cop outfit, yeah.
And he's, you know...
The only thing is that first scene where he kills the cop. Like, that's
he doesn't really kill the cop. It's more like a punch.
Yeah,
he's like, "Whoa!"
Yeah, they made it look like he didn't die. Yeah, you're right about that. You don't see any blades. You don't see any blood, really.
What do you guys... I have a scene picked already, but what do you guys think was the best scene in the movie for the 3D? I think the best scene for me... There were 3 scenes. There was the opening, like the panning over all the skulls and through the playground and stuff.
Yeah.
But the second scene was the T-1000 coming through the like jail gate, like at Pescadero, where he liquids like he gets his gun caught.
Yeah. Yep.
I think the very best scene, though, my favorite scene in 3D was after Arnie's taken out all the cops and he rides through on the motorbike through all the smoke, like, and you really get that sort of distance. Sort of perspective in that, and like how fucking hard is it to make smoke fucking 3D? It must be hard, but that looked absolutely fantastic. Where he sort of just like slowly rid sort of up to the camera.
I talked about this the other week. Smoke always looks awesome in 3D. Like the scene with Mufasa in the Lion King 3D. That holy shit! Like the smoke in that scene when it cleared and his dead body's there, and oh man, fucking chills. And yeah, it works so good in that scene that you're talking about as well.
And there was another one where he's walking through the steel mill and he's chasing John and Sarah Connor, and he's coming toward the steps and he's just about to walk up the stairs and there's like all the sparks and shit from like the steel. Like you really sort of get like they're crashing in front and all around him and stuff, and you really get that sort of perspective, sort of like the distance and that. Yeah, it was really, really well done.
That shot up there that you've got on your wall of them in the canal and he's pointing the fucking shotgun, that looked awesome in 3D too.
That was probably my
I was like, did you hear me? I was like, whoa.
I did hear you, yeah.
Yeah, where he just spins back and like aims at the fucking
and
truck.
The tire comes rolling out.
Yeah,
that was the one moment for me that it felt like, wow, that's some good
you're looking right down the fucking barrel there. Like, whoa. Yeah.
That was really good.
Nah, they handled the 3D fucking great. I don't understand how the fuck they did it with that old footage. Like,
yeah,
just blows my mind.
There was some of it that was, you could really sort of notice how it was dated, like in the fight scene at the beginning with Skynet, and you've got like the hunter killers and the big tanks. You could tell that was like a plate of like the miniatures filmed, and they had the screen behind and the practical tangible guys and set.
There was a couple of good bits, where they're driving the car away from And like you can
all like
see
a
the
screen
real
line.
blue screen fucking effect. Like you see the whole car
Like
looks
it doesn't look like
perfect,
they're on the road.
and then the back just looks like flat as fuck.
Yeah.
But that was kind of cool too, because it was like, oh, that's kind of like a peek back to that, just to that time.
Yeah.
It was great.
Loved it. Fucking loved it.
5 out of 5.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Me too.
Yeah.
It was solid.
If only they had fucking found Arnie's other hand. That's all I think. At the end of that movie, I'm like, you chucked the fucking hand in the lava, but you left another one over there at the steel mill.
In the gears. Okay, so we've just seen Terminator 2 in 3D.
Yeah.
And we talked about last week how James Cameron may, if this is successful, he may do Aliens next, which would be fucking awesome.
Yeah.
With this whole sort of semi-resurgence of some older films being redone for 3D, are there any older films that you'd actually like to see brought back, sort of with the same tender love and care that this is being given into 3D? Me, fucking Die Hard in 3D.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be nuts.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Predator came out a couple of years ago with a 3D home release. I think that would make it pretty cool, especially in the jungle and stuff, all the trees and...
Yeah, that'd be fucking cool, actually.
Yeah.
They could do.
So that's already happened.
There is a home release. There is a home 3D release of
I have
Predator.
to pick that up. Yeah.
Like with the invisible cloak and that'd be really cool. I think they could do some good effects on that.
Fuck yeah.
Because I remember that was not dated, but back in the day, you could tell that it was a little different.
Speak up, Pat. You're muttering a bit. It's just
Jurassic
like,
Park's been done.
yeah, Jurassic Park's been done. I always thought sci-fi movies always make the best 3D
Blade
films.
Runner, maybe. That'd be pretty cool.
I said that to Pat in the car, Blade Runner. When we went and saw Prometheus, Pat, and they had all the panels and everything, and they had like all the LED sort of like buttons and light up holograms and shit. We saw that in 3D, and I was like, that was fucking awesome.
Yeah, that worked really well.
I don't know what else.
Star Wars? Original Star Wars?
Maybe, yeah. Millennium Falcon coming at you.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Spinning and shit.
Yeah.
The Labyrinth.
Labyrinth.
Labyrinth would be cool in
I'd
3D,
fucking
actually.
watch that.
I would
Yeah,
watch that too.
definitely.
The Dark Crystal
Yeah,
in
yeah.
3D. That'd be sick. What else? I don't know.
Gremlins.
Gremlins. He's just throwing out random films. now.
Yeah.
Fresh Miller's Day Off.
Chucky.
Ghostbusters. That'd be a fucking cool one.
That would be cool.
That'd
yeah.
be really cool.
Proton streams and that coming at you. That'd be
Yeah.
sick.
Yeah.
I don't know what else actually.
Do them all. But yeah, fucking my criticism of tonight would be there wasn't enough people there to see it. It was pretty quiet.
Yeah, it was
Opening
pretty
night,
empty.
is it?
This was the kind of movie that if I was at the Star Theatre watching this,
Yeah.
when Arnie came out and Bad to the Bone started playing, like I wanted
I would
to
have been
cheer.
screaming.
I was
Yeah.
like, I wanted to cheer at the screen. This is the kind of movie where,
Yeah. I felt like I was sitting there being too quiet.
yeah,
Like I'm like I wanted to be like fucking saying the lines when he said it.
Yeah.
And I felt like, oh no, everybody's paid too much money for their 3D tickets, so can't really say anything.
had to pay an extra $1 for the glasses.
Do you think if it was at Star Theatre, you remember how we saw The Big Lebowski and, you know, they characterised the screening by having the White Russians served up as well? Like, what could they have done for Judgment Day, do you think? Like, just say
Some
if there
kind
was
of
a nice
metallic
beverage.
liquid. Just serve everyone
Glasses
pure
of
mercury.
Like, I had that, what was that energy drink I had a while ago, the Quicksilver one, and it was like, you mix it up and it's like silver. The drink turns silver.
Oh yeah, you
That
turn the
would've been
can.
really cool.
You had a bottle and it had
Yeah.
like all this silver shit in the bottom, and you turn it upside down and it mixes all through, and it's like all.
It
I'm
looked-
not-
It,
It
looks
looks like
like
paint.
metallic shit. Yeah.
I'm not drinking that fucking shit.
Oh, that was
It's
one of
probably still decomposing in me now. Like,
That was one of my favorites. I got it so many times.
That was actually pretty good.
It's a
Oh,
really
fucking
good
hell.
drink. They
Yeah.
could have done that.
I always wondered how they did that scene where the T-1000 melts and the puddles come together. I imagine it would have been
know.
mercury.
I was
They would have
looking
had
at
to have
that.
done it with mercury.
But how do they move it though? It was all moving together. It was really cool.
Magic of the movies.
Maybe
They
they,
did
had
the same thing in Prince of Darkness. There's this scene where there's the mirror to like hell, and they made the mirror out of like mercury. They poured mercury into it. They like it was John Carpenter on the commentary. He's like, this was super fucking dangerous.
Yeah,
but we did it anyway.
That shit's fucked. Like it'll kill you.
Because there's this scene where like the hand comes out of the mercury. There's like this big devil hand that comes out. Like the hand reaches in and grabs it and pulls it out, like the mercury. I'm like, oh,
somebody's dead
now.
Yeah. I reckon I know how they did the T-1000 one with all that liquid. They probably had like reverse vacuum, like blowing, like, or leaf blowers or whatever, just blowing all the liquid around from every angle. Maybe. Because it was moving around.
Well, is it magnetic? I wonder if they could like move it around from underneath.
That's in Jurassic Park. You know how they got the glass to ripple, like with the T-Rex stomp in the car? You know, they got to do that? They got to get
jumping next to the table.
The speakers on, like the stereo.
No, they had the console. They got it underneath it, and they got a guitar string, and they just connected guitar string underneath, and they just pulled it, twang, twang, just so it flicked on the console.
Yeah,
on the underside of the console, and that's how they got the ripple effect in the glass.
That's good. Yeah,
real simple shit like that. Yeah, same with the sound effects for the eggs hatching and that. At the beginning, they just got like ice cream, like waffle cones and stuff, and they're just like breaking it to the and they just got like old like pine cones and stuff, or like fruit, and just like, you know, with gloves and just like rubbing it, and
Foley artists, awesome.
Very cool.
That'd be an awesome job.
Yeah.
You guys got anything more to say about T2? I'd recommend going and seeing it in 3D, absolute definitely, or buying the home release when it comes out, because even if you don't have a 3D TV, this movie's remastered and it doesn't look better than this. Like, whatever home release you have, this will shit all over it.
Yeah. I've got to say that, like, aside from a few dated visual effects and blah, 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 this movie actually looks better than most of the fucking big high-budget movies that come out now. Like, visually looks fucking stunning.
And because it's so well done, that movie overall, it's like, it's just so good. Now that we've just seen it in the cinema, like, you compare it with everything you've seen in the past year or two, and I'm just like, there's still shits all over everything, you know, a lot of big budget movies we've seen for ages.
That whole Cyberdyne fucking bit where they're breaking into that lab, fuck, that's some of the best looking, like, cinema ever.
Yeah.
Like, it just looks so nice, and fucking the blue lighting and the nighttime, and like all the explosions going off, they feel like fucking real explosions. They don't feel like CG. Oh man.
And just the film in general, like the scene with Sarah where she's doing her chin-ups in her room, like the transformation of her character from the first film, because in the first film she's just like a damsel in distress, and you know, into this film, like, she knows she has to be ready,
fucking
like
wiry and ripped, and
she's ready.
It just made me appreciate the movie all the more. Just seeing it in a bigger screen, a bigger experience, just allowed me to, you know, take it all in again, and, you know, realize...
Even the firefight, like when those SWAT team burst in, they start fucking shooting up the place, and they're hiding behind the desks, and bullets are flying everywhere, and shit's fucking going crazy. I'm like, watching The Dark Tower, say, last week, like, we talked about the guns felt punchy and stuff, but I don't know. It didn't fucking nearly capture, like, the craziness of that shootout in T2 tonight. What are you talking about? You haven't even seen it. But yeah, like, same goes for fucking so many modern movies, the shootouts and stuff. They never feel that impact that, like, she was fucking hiding for her life behind those desks and stuff.
That's what I was going to say. Like, I did mention it the other week as well, but how just amazing it is the way they've done the threat, you know, like, it really feels like that the entire way through from the beginning with the T-1000 especially. You know, he's a scary
motherfucker.
They made it deliberately, unlike they do these days in all Hollywood movies. Anything where they go wrong is they either the bad guy actually gets close enough, but he just throws them. But in this, the T-1000 never gets close enough to John at all, because if he did, he would just be able to
He'd be dead.
Chuck a little, like, from a 10-foot distance, he could put a knife through his head. And they never, you know, he never got close enough to do that.
The closest he got was on the back of that fucking car.
Yeah. And he was too busy trying to get in there. And then he got off because Terminator stopped him. So And that was bloody... And that's how it makes it so tense the whole way through. It makes it more realistic. It's just like you do not want him to get near...
Like I said, like Bobby said the other week when we were talking about it, best sequels or whatever, you know, the guy is an actual threat. Like, if he gets near you, you're fucked. Like the guy, the driving the liquid nitrogen truck, he's like, "Oh man, you're okay." He just grabs him by the shoulder, knife straight through his chest, through his back. No fucking around.
It makes him the ultimate threat for any.
The only guy that I think in the movie gets away is the fucking helicopter driver.
Yeah.
He's like, "Get out!"
He jumps. Yeah.
Why did I turned to Arnie there for that? Get out!
Get out!
No!
And I was looking at that thinking, man, would he have survived that? But it wasn't too far off the ground, but it
would have fucking hurt.
Yeah, you'd hope there was a bush.
That's like jumping out of a 4-story building or something.
He didn't even look. He just like, jumps.
See ya.
If that was me, I'd be like trying to find a safe spot and then jump. But no,
he's got 2 broken legs.
Yeah, but he
2
survived.
shattered legs. Yeah. I think
Really
that's
good.
it. 5 out of 5 from me.
Fuck yeah.
Same.
I'll be buying that home release for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You got a 3D TV or?
I don't.
I do. You can come around and watch it at mine.
Oh, cool. Yeah, sweet.
I'm really glad they did like this whole new version because I plan to someday when Mason grows old enough, I'm going to share all these kind of movies with him. It's just great to know that they're revamped and refreshed and polished.
But not the first one though.
I like
Just Terminator Genisys.
I never said I didn't like the first. I like the first. I was just saying. Top 2.
This isn't over, Brown.
How old's he now? 2, Mason.
He's nearly 3. Going in December, he'll be 3.
Oh, well, gone by the age
by
we were
December,
when we saw it.
You got 3 years to wait.
You got another 3 years.
And then
I saw it when I was about 6 or 7.
Yep, same.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
and I'm like, this is a bit scary.
It's scary as fuck, but oh man, did it open my eyes to a whole new world of awesome shit. Yeah. Oh, Ed Furlong. I want to bring him up quickly at the end.
Okay.
He's about the only thing that really dates this movie. Like he's kind of got that like radical kid, like 80s kid thing going on, and some of his dialogue, you're just like. Like some of it,
ginger mate with the massive mullet, the Guns N' Roses t-shirt. He's got like the flary track pants, hot pants. Fucking.
Oh, there was one thing I was going to mention. So, guessing this movie, even though it was made in what year was this movie made?
1990.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say it's
89.
Technically based in 1994, isn't it? Also, because
is it?
John Connor, like everything that happened in Terminator 1, that's 84 apparently. They call it in this movie, they said the event, and he killed all the cops in 1984, they kept saying on the radio. And
so he should be, 1994.
So John
good
Connor's
point.
about 10 in this, isn't he? So that's
good point.
1994.
I think it comes up on the when he types in John Connor's name, it comes up 1985 is his birth date.
That makes sense.
On the thing.
So this is technically 1995 then, I guess.
Yeah, technically.
Because he's 10, isn't he? He's supposed to be 10?
You could go see Armageddon in 12 months.
Because I was going to say, it feels more like an 80s, or not 80s, probably 1990, but yeah, it's like mid-90s it's based. So there was no Nirvana, no senses of that kind of thing. Obviously that didn't exist.
True.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
There was more 80s than 90s.
There was the one scene, the one line by him. I think it's where Sarah Connor goes off to kill the scientist bloke.
Miles Dyson.
The vacuum cleaner man. And he says that line like it's like really bad acting.
Oh,
like as he's running to the car and he's like, he's gonna go smoke. She's gonna smoke him or something. Yeah, or something like that. And you're just like, oh,
we gotta go right now.
We gotta go now. We gotta go right now.
I was the same. I was that slight cringe.
Like, oh man, you probably could have retook that.
Why didn't you tell me? We gotta go right now. Come on, let's go. Come on.
I was like, maybe James Cameron was chasing the light that day and couldn't reshoot it, so he just. I mean that was the real. I think that was the lowest point in the movie, but I mean it's kind of laughable now. So, but yeah.
Did we not get the part where Arnold smiles? You know, where he's like teaching him how to smile and grin.
No, that's cut out. That's in the
Is that too cheesy for this movie?
No, there's an extended cut out there, which has got a lot of... I've seen it. I've watched it a couple of times, actually.
I like that bit.
There's a scene where, in the original sort of... in the extended scenes, Arnold... where he says he's... the more he interacts with humans, the more he learns. Well, that's not it in the extended cut. Like, they cut open his head... and they take out the CPU and they flick the switch over and they put it back in and sew his head back up. And then there's another scene where after the T-1000 is frozen and comes back together, he malfunctions. There's a scene where you see him walking. There's this big yellow rail and it looks like he's about to grab it. But if the rest of that scene played out, he grabs the rail and he sort of gets stuck and it cuts down to his hand and his hand's got like yellow and black crosses over it and he sort of pulls it away and he holds his hand up and he shakes off the yellow and black and keeps walking.
I remember that.
And then later on, the reason John knows who's who when he's disguised as Sarah is that he looks down and his feet have sort of molded into the grading and his feet are like all grey and sort of they look like tree stumps.
Right.
And that's how he works it, because he's malfunctioning.
And the heat is getting a bit much or something, melting him, is that right?
Oh, because he's malfunctioned where he's been frozen.
Oh, okay.
But I prefer the T-1000 as just an unstoppable killing machine.
Yep.
So
You know what would have been a good little touch, I just thought then, was that scene where they're under the car and he's fixing the car. He should have just not used the socket wrench and just turned it with his hands. Like, he'd be strong enough to fucking bolt that shit in.
Yeah, he could have done that, yeah. That's true. That's true.
I was thinking that, like, when he was doing it, I'm like, how does he know all the socket wrenches and shit? He's like, pass me the...
Because he has detailed files.
He's got all the files. 0.0 casualties.
The Matrix. He just uploaded a mechanic file.
I know mechanics. Whoa.
Alright, that's going to do it. I'm going to wrap it up right here and now.
No, I'm just going to throw something else at it. No, I'm kidding.
Bobby Baxter, online, where are you?
BobbyBaxter.com and on Instagram, BobbyBaxter.cartoons and Facebook as well. Yep.
Marvel Brown.
You can find me on patrickbrownart.com and so that's my official website. I'll mention DeviantArt as well. I always forget DeviantArt, but that's just patrickbrown.deviantart.com.
Ooh, I'm on DeviantArt too, but it hasn't been touched in a long time.
It's still fairly used these days too. I mean, I love DeviantArt still, but don't get a chance to get on there. And Facebook, Patrick Brown Art.
And you can find the Bearded Geeks on Facebook, facebook.com/BeardedGeeksPod. On Instagram at the Bearded Geeks, on Twitter at Bearded Geeks Pod. You can jump on TeePublic and buy a shirt if you want. We actually saw some shirts at the cinema today.
Yeah, that was right.
Sorry, you guys, the Bearded Geeks, sir. And then t-shirt and everything, and then they run
I'm just
off.
sitting there with a fucking mouthful of Maxi-Bon and I'll turn around like, you're the Bearded Geeks. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, I was surprised. That was awesome. And what happened on the drive home?
Oh, the drive home from the cinema. Ah.
So we get back to the car and we go to the bottle shop.
After a short argument about Genisys. And
after a short argument about Terminator.
Things were tense.
Things were already tense between Paddy and Brent.
We pull out of the bottle and I turn left and I drive up to the traffic light and Pat's sitting in the back seat and he decides to move. He decides to jump sides.
Because we were like at our old house. We're like, we got to see the lights in there. And I was like, I better get over this side.
I better get over this side because I'm fucking 10 years old and I'm going to move around in the back of the car.
And I jump seats.
And I said, oh, fucking good on you, dickhead. The car behind us is a cop car. And then I looked and it actually is a cop car. And I was like, oh, fucking hell.
And you drive 10 feet and what happens?
So I drive around the corner and then what happens? He flicks the lights.
Yeah.
And I was like, fucking hell. The cop is flicking his lights. And then I got real cross with Pat. I was like, fucking hell, Pat.
We were like, oh, fuck.
And then he pulled me over and I had to get my license out and recite my fucking name and my address and blow the breath. Oh, what have you guys been up to tonight? Oh, we just went and saw fucking Terminator 2 in 3D. And he's like, oh, the best Terminator goes to me. And I was like, that's fucking right. I was like,
okay, we're in the clear already. Yeah. We know.
And then he's like, thanks very much, have a good night. And I was like, thank you. Wind up the window.
I actually thought he was going to say, this guy in the back, I saw him jumping over. What's going on there?
Yeah, and I'm like,
I swear to God, that's why he pulled us over.
I thought too. I thought he saw me.
And I'm like, guess who's paying for this fucking fine?
Because they get you without a seatbelt.
Marvel money over here.
Because if you don't wear a seatbelt, they cop you for that. And obviously, I'm there jumping around the back seat.
Bloody Pat.
Yeah.
I'm not picking you up anymore.
But he was good, eh? He just fobbed it off and went.
Yeah, I think he was a Terminator fan and he let us loose on that one.
And I had a 6-pack sitting next to me. I was thinking, he's going to say something about that.
And then the camera pans up to his face and it's fucking the T-1000.
Patrick Stewart.
Like in Patrick Stewart. In Wayne's World 2, where he gets pulled over by the cops. He's like, have you seen this boy?
Oh, so
Remember
good.
that?
Yeah.
That's good. All right, that might do it. Yep, TeePublic. Where else are we? SoundCloud, iTunes. Leave us a comment. Like and share and subscribe. Tell all your friends. Whatever. It'd be great.
Get on it.
Yeah, bloody get on it. What's wrong with you? Next week, I think I'm going to do an Uncharted: The Lost Legacy review next week. Maybe, or just a mini review.
Cool.
I bought the game yesterday and started playing. I played it for about 3.5, 4 hours yesterday.
Can I have your Jack and Daxter code?
No, you fucking can't.
I got on the store and they're trying to charge like $22 or something for just one game. Yeah. They re-released like all 3 of those games in HD a couple of years ago on PS3. And I think you can pick that up for like $25-$30. But they're like re-releasing it for PS4 and they're charging like $25 per game. Get fucked.
Well, I got 2 free codes yesterday. I got the Jack and Daxter code, and I got that whatever that new app game is that you could download for free off the PS Store last month, which I already got.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, that might do it. Next week Uncharted, maybe. I'm not sure if there's something else I might be doing. We'll be doing It. We'll be doing an It episode in the next few weeks. Stephen King's It will be out on the 7th or 8th of September, so we should be doing an episode about that. So that should be alright. I don't know what else. Try not to plan too far ahead. Just wing it and see what happens.
Yeah.
Yep. Alright, well, thanks everyone for this episode. Fuck, we've been here at just over 2 hours.
Shit, we did it again.
Jeez, you pricks can talk.
Good
Fuck
effort.
now.
Sorry.
Alright guys, we'll see you next week. Have a bloody good one, why don't you?
And tell us if you like it.
Yeah, tell us if you like. Go see T2 in 3D because it's fucking sick.
Yeah, do it.
See you later, guys. We'll see you next week. Hey!